Yeah, welcome to Richard's Econometrics. I hope you've been enjoying other courses. We've treated descriptive statistics. We've also treated how to import data on EViews. So these are the data we've imported on EViews. So we'll start off from here. Today we are going to look at unit root tests, how to test for unit roots. So, we are using Nigerian data. So I will show you how to test for unit root test and when to know if it is significant or not significant, and to know when to use it, how to differentiate and use it in your model. So most times the issue we have with Nigerian data is that most times you see that the data might not be significant because of the way our data is. But if you're using US data, most times their data are actually significant, and you should bear in mind that you don't really differ. You don't really. If you try to if you check the unit root test and it's not significant, then you have to log, you try and log it, and when you log it, it might tend to be significant. So I will show you just the way you do it, simply in on eViews, and to get your results and then report it when writing your research paper, or when you want to use it for your analysis, or your thesis, anyone you want to use it for. So for example, let's use FDI, that is foreign direct investment. So what you just do, you click on the FDI after importing your data, which I've already taught. So if you don't know how to import data, you can go and check our previous videos on this channel. So you click on view, and then um you click on, because this is the spreadsheet, then you click on uh descriptive time series diagnostics. This is actually the latest EViews. So if you're using previous like EViews 9 or EViews 10, you might not really see it here. You might see it at, it's actually easier to, when you click on view, you will probably see it there. So you go to unit root test. So you see there's standard unit root test, there's a breakpoint unit root test, there's seasonal unit root test. So you can use breakpoint unit root test when you notice that in your series there's something like a break in your analysis. And also seasonal unit root test is when you use it when you find out that there's issue of seasonality that might make your variable not to be stationary. For example, now that we're having Christmas season, every time you have Christmas season, you see that prices of things go up. There are a lot of volatility there, so you can use that. But let's just use the standard unit root test. So now you have the augmented Dikefula test, you have the Dikefula GLS, you have the Phillips Perron, you have the Kwekwosi Phillips, you have the Elliott Reynolds, and you have the NG Perron. But we use the augmented Dikefula test because this is the test that actually that is, well, I won't use the word simple, but based on time series is actually okay to use. And also this Phillips Perron is also okay. You can use the tool for to do authentication check to see if your variable is stationary or not at a particular level. So when we use the augmented fuller at level, you click on OK. You see, we found out that it is significant at level. So it is significant at I0 because it is less than 0.05, it is less than 0.10, and it's also less than 0.1%. So most times your level of significance in economics, we use 10%, 5%, and 1%. Looking at this variable, 1 divided by 100, you see that this variable, the probability test is way lower than it. So this shows that it is significant at level. So which means FDI is significant at level. So most times you can freeze and then name the variable. Let's say FDI underscore I0. So which means it is significant at levels. Okay, this is an illegal name. You see, if you actually select the kind of names you use, so you have FDI underscore I0. So you don't have to use brackets. So you've saved it. So this is for FDI. Okay, let's try another variable that will not be significant at level. We'll try some variables. Let's see. I want us to be able to, yeah, I want you to see the different angles. So now let's try FPI, foreign portfolio investments. What is foreign portfolio investment? This is purely Nigerian data. We have FDIs and they have FPIs. Both of them are actually kinds of capital inflows into the country. So most times, we have FDI, foreign direct investments, foreign portfolio investments, and other investments. So foreign direct investments are those investments that you do into fiscal. You have investments that foreigners come into our country to do, which are fiscal items, things you see, maybe investments in industries, investments in landed properties, investments in machines, in order for them to do business and get their repatriation to and get their dollar back, do business and go. But most times, most FDI's investments are long-term projects. But FPIs, foreign portfolio investments, are those investments they come and do for short term, and it doesn't take time. Maybe investment in instruments, short term instruments that will not take time. Maybe even capital instrument like bonds. Most times it's also classified under FPI. So those investments they come and do, and then if there's a little volatility in the economy, they'll just take their money and move. So it's easy for them to get their money back, unlike FDI that takes a longer time. So I'm just giving a brief explanation of these variables. So now you click on view the way we did for the other one. We'll go to time series diagnostics, then we'll go to unitary test, and then we'll click on standard unitary test. We can also click on this 11. Most times I'll teach you something else also to know how to navigate, especially when it comes to this trend and intercept, to know which one to particularly use in order to know if your variables have a trend or intercept or it's just constant. So now we'll click on the level of the neutral test. You see, okay, this one too is also significant at level. So FBI is also shown to be significant. We can also freeze and name, and you say FPI underscore I0. Okay, I'm trying to look for the one that will not be significant at levels. Okay, what I was trying to explain before, let me just run it before I check for another variable. We will try to check as much as we can so that we can be able to get a full grasp of what I'm talking about. So let's say estimate equation. So what I was trying to tell you, like FPI, you can see FPI, just call the variable that we use. I hope it's, you have to know if it is. So you see at trend, you can do this on your, see, for example, when you look at this now, it's telling you that the variable doesn't have, it's not constant and it doesn't have a trend, because the probability shows that it is not significant at constant trend. So most time you can just do your intercept, analyze your work using the FPI at intercept, and you get your result. It's trying to tell you that the FPI doesn't have a particular trend, or it doesn't have a particular, because maybe that's probably why it was a significant at level, to stationary at level. So now let's look for another variable. I want us to tell, okay, let's test oil. Okay, let's do that stuff and see. Let's not stop estimate equation oil out. Please, if you have any question to ask, you can ask on the channel. Uh, it will be, and also try to subscribe to my channel. Okay, we can see with this, based on oil, you can see that it's trying to tell you it has a trend. Also has an intercept. So with this too, you can also have a grasp of what your result is going to tell you. Okay, let's just leave this. This is just beginning. So we can go to the oil, we can click view, we can click the time series diagnostics, you click the unit root test, you click the standard unit roots. So most times when you click the level, you try intercept, and if it is not significant, you can go and check for your trend and intercept to look if that's the issue. So most times we click OK. Okay, this one, it's supposed to be, it's not, I won't say, this 0.051, which is not actually It's actually significant. It will be significant at 10% actually. This result will be significant at 10%, but it's not significant at 5%. But you can let this fly because it is significant at 5. It's significant at 10%, but not really at 5%. So with this now, you can see that it was trying to tell us that though it is significant, but the bracket, the level at which it is significant is actually low. It's actually low because we saw the results. If we went ahead, if we would have checked, okay, let's see, let's check for the intercept and the trend. Let's see whether the result will be far much more better than this. Let's see whether it will be far much more better than this. Using the intercept and trend. So go to time series diagnostics, unit truth test, standard unit truth, trend and intercepts. See 0.02, which because it captured that trend and intercept which it has. So that's made the analysis that if we are going to use that, see that it is significant at 5%, very, very, it is confident enough to be significant at 5%. That's what I'm just trying to make it the word to use to explain what we just have here. So you can just phrase it and then you name that is oil significant at levels. So I'm trying to see the one that will not give us that will not be significant at level. I know most times in Nigerian data, inflation always give us a different results. Inflation always give us a different results, even when it is actually a change of the CPI. But let's see, uh, let's see the this data was sourced from a CBN statistical database in case you need the result, the data set. You see, most times it's not significant at level. Inflation has always have that issue. Okay, but it's always significant at first difference. Let's try and see what the issue is, or maybe because the time frame is not so good. So let's see at first difference. Let's see. Okay, it's significant at first difference. So this means that inflation is significant. So this is an example, a pure example of when you try to run an analysis at level and it's not significant at level, then you have to go and test for first difference. Let me rerun it for you to see what we did. So we see we tried to look for the unit truth test at levels at level. We click OK, you're seeing 0.9621. It was higher than 0.05, which is at 5%. It was higher at 1%, it was higher at 5%, it was higher at 10%, which means it is not significant at all levels for economics, because economics will use this 3 percentage points. So you see that it's not significant. So we have to run at first difference to see whether it is significant. And when we tested at first difference, we saw that it was highly significant. So this is, we actually use Nigerian data. So for us to be much more practical, and this is what is telling us that the inflation figure is significant at first differencing, and it is significant at 1%, it is significant at 5%, it's significant at 10%, and it's also significant at almost 1%. Yeah, it's also significant at 1%. I think so. So this is what the result says. So I think that would be all for now. We've been able to see how to, okay, you can just freeze and name and say what you say. Let's call it inf underscore I1. Okay, so you can be able to go and open your results, and you'll be able to save it and then write it on your Word, your MS Word for your reporting, your any reporting style you want. So now this will be the end of the class for today. Please subscribe to my channel and also like my videos and comment and ask questions. And if you need any assistance, you can get across to us through the email or through the comments, and we'll respond to you. And this for today. been able to trash the unitary tests. We've been able to see, especially the augmented Dikifula test, how to do the check for the unitary test at levels, how to check for the unitary test at false difference. And if you don't get it at levels and for real, what are you going to check to know if the problem is actually a trending issue or it has a constant issue? You can use that and know how to solve for that to remove the trend from your analysis from the particular variable and run for it to get your result. Thank you for listening.